Hello everybody, it's Amanda from Scrimpingmommy.co.uk and today I'm using the lovely Daisy Delight. It is currently available in the catalogue on page 126 and 127 as a bundle with 10% off. They are carrying over into the new catalogue, which is awesome. It means they're going to be here for another full 12 months. But they will be at the, 10% will have gone. So grab them quick. You may have noticed I'm doing a voiceover. I thought that this tutorial went on a little bit long, and the reason being because I'm making this card up as I go along. No sample, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I've sped it up ever so slightly and I'll talk you through it. So I'm using thick Whisper White and I've cut it to my favourite size, which is 11.5 inches by 4. I always leave the measurements over on my blog at scrimpingmommy.co.uk. If you need them, and I'm using the lovely Daisy Delight DSP, which is called, what's it called? Delightful Daisy. It is retiring. It's worth getting before it does retire because it's very beautiful, and I'm using up the last of mine. I have decided to use one of the new colours, which is Coastal Cabana. It's new to me. It's an old Stampin' Up colour that's been brought back, but it was available long before I was a demonstrator, so it's new to me and I think it's really beautiful. So I'm working out here what size to cut my DSP at, and I've decided to cut it at 3 inches, and then the width is 3 7/8. So that it's not going to cover all of the card, just part of it. And I'm going to stick it on, sticking and gluing, we're using snail. Because it's a lightweight, it's a DSP, snail will be absolutely fine. If you're doing cardstock to cardstock, you probably need a sturdier adhesive, in which case use Fast Fuse. So we've got that on now, and I decided to use an ombre ribbon, which is actually Island Indigo, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's ombre, so it goes down in shades. It's really pretty. So I'm just going to adhere it across the join between the DSP and the cardstock there, just for a little bit of a pretty border, and to tone down some of that big white space. We don't want loads of white space. That's not my style. Some people do lots of white on their cards and it looks stunning, but it's not my style. So I'm using what am I using there? Double-sided tape, tear tape. It's lovely. The Stampin' Up one really is good quality. I've used various ones from various places and I do love the Stampin' Up one. So I'm just saying there that I will reuse the scraps, I won't waste them. And it doesn't fray, that ribbon, so you can just trim it off. You don't have to tuck it behind and add another layer and go to a big fuss. You can just trim it off. So now I'm going to stamp the large daisy. I absolutely love it. It looked a little bit red. I couldn't remember if I cleaned it or not. So I'm then going to clean my stamp. Now, the photopolymer stamps, they do stain. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't spoil the quality of the stamps. And it's actually an indication of a good quality photopolymer because it's absorbed that colour. It won't come off on my next colour. Now the new ink pads open totally different. They're really, really nice to use. So here I'm going to stamp 2 daisies in the Coastal Cabana, keeping that stamp with, there you go, you can see me showing you, facing north and south with the petals, so that then when I go in and punch it, it will be easy to line up. So I'm stamping 2 because I'm going to layer 1 on top of the other to make a fuller flower. And I'm going to show you there. You push from the bottom, push all the way up, then flip over and click. And that is how you close the new ink pads. So I'm lining up the daisy punch there. And one tip as well is to slide your punch out, because the little spiky bits can get stuck. So if you slide it like so, they won't. Now if they do get stuck, just punch, keep punching. Okay, that was my tip. So there, I've punched another, and I'm going to get my piercing mat now to shape my flowers, because I don't like them totally flat. I don't like flat flowers, I've said it before. I'm going to just ink the edges gently with the Coastal Cabana. I don't have loads of sponges all in different colours. I tend to just use the same one, and I wash it out and reuse it, and then after a while I'll use another one. I don't feel the need to have a different sponge for every colour. Some people love to do that and are really, really organised. I'm way too lazy. I ain't got time for that. I'm showing you again there, look. I'm rabbiting on about how to shut the ink pads properly. That's what I'm doing there. So I'm going to turn them over, and using the end of my piercing tool there, I'm just pressing and going upwards in an upwards motion on the petal, and it makes the cardstock shape and curve, and it just gives your flower some definition. It's always worth just going that little extra mile and taking that bit of extra time with something, because the results will, it will be evident that you've taken time over that. I'm going to stick them on with snail because at this point I couldn't find my glue dots. So I'm going to layer those up, so one on top of the other, offset, so that the top one goes in between the gaps of the bottom one, and I'm pressing it again, which just helps lift up those petals, and curving it with the bone folder will just give it that little bit more shape. It can be faffy, but the devil's in the detail. If you want it to look good, you will take time and do it. And then I'm using a bug eye. I call these faceted gems bug eyes or spider's eyes. So I'm using one of the clear ones in the centre there. It looks really pretty. And then just a little bit more inking with the Coastal Cabana, which is absolutely stunning. And then my flower is ready. So now I'm going to use one of the lovely delicate doilies. I absolutely love these. They're so pretty, and these are retiring as well, and they're so inexpensive, and they just really add prettiness and softness to your card. So if you've put in an order in the next, before the end of May, stick a pack on, because they're lovely, and you get loads as well. They last ages. I have hoarded quite a few packets of these, I will admit, probably more than I should have done. Tack it down with a little bit of snail, absolutely fine. It's probably better than using glue. Sometimes glue can end up making the doilies a little bit sticky and messy. A little bit of snail, you only need to tack it down in a few places. Just lifting the flowers up there. Again, I'm a bit obsessed. And now I'm going to stamp my sentiment. The sentiment that comes in this set, the large one that says thank you, is one of my all-time favourites. The font is beautiful, and I did work out that I needed a strip 1 inch by 3 inch, and I'm cutting it on my trimmer so that it's nice and straight. Whereas sometimes I'll do it freehand and then it's wonky and it drives me bonkers. So 1 inch by 3 inch, and then I'm going to cut a piece of matching floral DSP to layer underneath, and I'm going to cut that 1/4 inch bigger on both sides, so 3 1/4 by 1 1/4, and that will just give a nice layer underneath my sentiment. So I'm going to stamp in Coastal Cabana again, because I don't think you need a billion colours when you're making a card. I like to stick to a minimum of, well, 1 and a maximum of 3. I don't like using loads of colours. I like to show that you can craft without having to, buy everything. You can just buy yourself a few things to get you going, and then add to your collection as and when you want to. So I'm going to stick my sentiment on with mini dimensionals, because for some reason I still have no large dimensionals, and I know that's the reason for that is because I gifted a pack to all of my customers last month, and I was a couple of packs short of what I needed, and so I had to sacrifice my personal ones. So I'm fiddling about with mini dimensionals, which are awesome, but they're really for smaller things. So there you go, that's why I'm faffing. But we get there in the end, and that mounts on there, and with that little floral DSP behind, it looks absolutely beautiful. And then I'm just going to use snail on the back of there and mount it on the very top right hand corner of my card with a very tiny increment. It's not flush, and then our card is done. and I think that's super pretty. I hope you'll give it a try, and I'll see you again soon.